We're back, and courtesy of MagFest, a local gaming convention here in Alexandria, we're here with writer, actor, and director Matthew Mercer. Matthew, welcome to Fast Forward.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for taking the time to come here from the madness and frenzy that is MagFest.
No, honestly, it's a welcome escape for the time being. It's been pretty intense for the past few days.
Now, I guess the first question I should ask you, we don't get many actors on the show, is how did a nice guy like you get into a job like that?
Well, a lot of hard work, and I grew up around a lot of people that were in the industry telling me, don't be an actor. It was kind of the thing, you know, people who were actors, like, just don't be an actor.
Well, that means they loved you.
Yeah, well, here's the hoping. But it just kind of fell into my lap as years went on. But I originally was doing a lot of theater in high school and local theatrical productions, and just kind of took it from there. I had a couple of lucky breaks where my father, who was an audio engineer, befriended some of the producers of some Japanese animation projects when I was in high school. And he's like, you know, hey, I'm working on some of these anime projects, doing a couple bit voice parts. You should come watch it. I'm like, yes, this is so great. And this little 17-year-old kid is really excited to watch my dad do a couple of small voices on a show. And then while I was there watching him do this, I was talking with the producer, and he was like, hey, I kind of like the sound of your voice. You ever thought about doing this? I'm like, yeah. And so they stopped calling my dad and started calling me instead.
Oh, how did he feel about that?
He's like, if it was anybody else, he'd be angry. But I think he took it okay.
Now, you actually have done some voiceover roles in some pretty hotshot Japanese animation. I mean, Cowboy Bebop, The Big O, Trigun, Akira, for heaven's sake. Even one of the most violent animes I've seen in a long time, although I understand Blood Butler is worse, is Fist of the North Star.
Ah, yes, heads exploding everywhere.
Oh, yes, and on time delay. That's the best part.
Yeah, you're already dead. Great catchphrase.
Let's talk a little bit about one project that really has gotten you a lot of notice. It's one of the reasons you're attending MagFest, and that's a series that you wrote and directed, a web series called There Might Be Brawl, I beg your pardon, which is essentially set in a dystopian mushroom kingdom featuring the Mario Brothers, Princess Peach, and almost any other Nintendo game hero you'd care to mention. How did that start?
It started because I'd done a couple of web projects with some creative partners of mine, and we really wanted to kind of take something, challenge ourselves with something that was more serious, but still keep it in that realm of, you know, we were all video game geeks growing up, so we wanted to kind of try and keep it in that realm of comfortability. And so we had a conversation about one of the characters in this series. His name is Kirby, who in the games, he's this cute little pink puffball, but his moveset is he essentially eats people, then wears their skin. I mean, it's much cuter than that. But we broke it down and was like, this is a little disturbing when you think about it. And so it began to, of course, from there made the Hannibal Lecter allusions. And then we began thinking of other various ways to kind of twist these Nintendo characters that we grew up and loved into a darker kind of HBO crime drama world style. And give her, you know, 3 or 4 more weeks past then, we had developed an entire world and a storyline and decided, you know what, let's go ahead and film it. And so we shot the first 2 episodes, ran out of money. And we're like, well, I guess that's it. So we put the first one up online. Hopefully we were going to get some fan feedback and hopefully some donations, and it did a lot better than we ever expected it would be. And then we got picked up by The Escapist, who funded the rest of the series, and there went the rest of my 2009.
Oh yeah, and 10 episodes total.
10 episodes
The
total.
last one, I believe the wrap party was in April, is that correct?
It was, yes.
Of this last year. Tell me what you learned in doing that. I mean, this is a major project for an extended period of time, collaborating with a large number of people because you had different actors coming and going, playing different characters. What was that experience like for you as a learning experience as a writer and as a director?
Creatively, it was fantastic. I learned first off the importance of collaborating with people as a whole, meaning even as a director, even as a person who's kind of this point of leadership in a group, you still have to make everyone feel like it's a project that you're all a part of.
Right.
Especially when no one's making any money off of it. It was a pure passion project. So I learned the importance and the joy of working with a team that large and making everyone else feel like it's every bit their project as it is mine. I also learned from a director standpoint that you don't get a lot of sleep. I had points in time where I went 72 hours without sleep and began to hallucinate. It was like, I should probably go to sleep.
Oh, I don't know. Hallucination might be the most creative point in your day.
It could be, but not when you're in the middle of editing. And all of a sudden you do wake up 5 hours later and you realize, oh no, I haven't been editing. I dreamt that up. Like there are scenes that don't exist in the series that I still think really should be there, but no, it's just the dream I had. So it's hard work. But I think first and foremost, I learned that there is a venue online for people that really appreciated the series for what it brought about. This very, it had points of comedy and parody, but it also had a very, very strong and very dark story, and it resonated with a lot more people than I expected it would. We essentially made it for ourselves,
right?
Which is what I think most creative projects should be, something you make for yourself that you appreciate, and people out there seem to like it too, and now I'm at MagFest.
And then the remarkable thing is, because it was a web event, because you had support from a number of contributors in terms of both creative talent and in terms of financial support, it was easier for you to actually execute your creative vision rather than having to accommodate the strictures of a more commercial medium.
Precisely, which is very freeing. I've since then worked on a couple of web projects that have been much more stringent with the control that was given from the creative vision standpoint.
Right.
And that on the back end was a very, very, very important lesson to learn as well, and really made me appreciate the experience that was making There Will Be Brawl, because we had that flexibility and that creative openness. So I miss that.
Well, there's always the next time down the road. I mean, it's always an option.
Here's to hoping.
Yes. Now, let's talk a little bit about your career as a voice actor. You started off in Japanese animation, and that's a very specific, doing English dubs is a very specific approach in the U.S. It to an extent, it mirrors the Japanese approach where the animation already exists, and then you're vocalizing over the action as you see it on the screen and as you read your script. What do you have to learn to do in order to do that effectively and efficiently?
Well, it's definitely a skill set that you learn over time. Timing is a big thing. Being very conscious of verbal beats and consonants, because you have to match lip flap with very little preparation time. You literally get to watch a line of dialogue once, and you kind of place how you would read it against this one preview in your head, and then you go through and then you actually record the line of dialogue. So you have one visual preview to go do your entire performance based off of, and then kind of tweak it from there if you don't match the beats for it.
Right.
But you're under time constraints, and there are directors and engineers that are waiting for you to do this performance. So it's a little stressful, but it's also very rewarding, and it's much more of a challenge. It's like a game than a original prelay animation.
Now, in Japan, when they do this, we've seen from all of our bonus footage that we all get on our DVDs, it's usually they do this in groups of actors. If there's a scene, the actors that are present in that scene are all present in the same room, working different microphones and to an extent interacting with each other, cueing off of each other to an extent. It's different in the U.S. Most of what I've seen is basically man in a box. How is that for you as an artist in terms of being able to have nothing else to feed off of?
It depends. I mean, a lot of American animation, at least high-end American animation, like things that Warner Brothers put together,
right,
or a lot of stuff you see on Cartoon Network, that's all prelay, meaning we do the voices first, and we are in a group, and that it feels like a radio play. It's so much more rewarding as an actor. Plus, you get to actually meet and work with the other actors as well, and kind of build a rapport. And with any sort of performance, it's always that much more comfortable, and you get a better performance, I feel, when you have other people there to play off of.
Right.
With anime and a lot of video games, it is just you in a booth, and you have your headset, you have a script, you have behind a glass pane, the director, producers, the engineer, and it's a lot more isolated, and it's not as preferable per se, but also it takes a skill set to be able to really make that performance believable with very little tools at your disposal.
Right.
They say radio or voice is the theater of the mind, and it really is. You have to rely upon your imagination to set the scene, to visualize the other characters, to build this world around you so that you can still play within it, but with very little tool at your disposal. So you have to kind of harness your inner 10-year-old.
Now,